Dick Night Train Lane, he was born in 1928. From what they say, his mother was a prostitute who abandoned him when he was 3 months old, and his father was a pimp, and they called him Texas Slim. The woman that found him was a lady by the name of Ella Lane. She lived on East 9th Street in Austin. And she had heard a crying baby in a dumpster. She thought it was an animal or a cat. And to her surprise, it was a baby wrapped up in old newspaper. Ella adopted the baby, which would be later known as Night Train Lane. Night Train said he never made any attempts to meet his dad. He figured if he didn't want him around, I didn't want to meet him either. And Lane said that to Mike Burns in a book about him titled Night Train Lane, The Life of a Hall of Famer, Richard Night Train Lane. Lane had a rough upbringing, but he earned the name Cue Ball because guess what? I've never seen the cue ball curve like a baseball, but apparently that was something that Night Train did. Threw it at the back of a kid's head over the kid reneging on a bet. Temper. Ella Lane, she tried to keep Richard on a straight and narrow. She tried to keep him assigned with doing all types of chores, and she used to beat his little ass, apparently. She had a leather belt for him. I guess one time he ripped his clothes up after playing football with the neighborhood kids. So I guess he got accustomed to getting that little leather strap. They said Rick Cantu, the Statesman, said that he would be screaming so loud, yelling so hard. Some people even yelled back at Miss Lane, talking about, "What do you do to that boy? I sure thought she was about to kill him." Yeah. But needless to say, Night Train, as he'll later be called, he sharpened his skills. He was from the streets of Austin. Ella wanted him to do other things, but not so much football. But he was a 3-athlete student at Anderson High School, L.C. Anderson in Austin, Texas. And he loved basketball the most. He was the best in football. They won the state championship in 1944. So, he didn't ever think he was going to have no pro football career. So, Dick joined the Army at age 19 after a stint with junior college in Nebraska. He served as a lieutenant colonel in World War II and then in the Korean War. He continued to play football for fun. When he left the military, he worked at an aircraft plant lifting, oil and bins and things of that nature. But one day he was on the bus on his way to work, and they drove past the Los Angeles Rams offices. At that time in 1952, they were the defending champs. So he walked in, he went home and got his clippings, all his achievements from high school and junior college, and then he asked for a tryout. And they gave him a chance. He wanted to be a wide receiver, but They had a couple. They had a couple folks in their positions already, like Tom Fears and Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch and Bob Boyd. So coach put him on defense at cornerback. So he never played in college. He struggled with the little pass patterns and schemes, and had to get tutored on the finer points, for plays and play calling, so it was like he got tutoring for his visits, they call, that's where he got the nickname Night Train, because he would be every day, he would be in his room playing the song by Buddy Morrow. And the roommate, Ben Sheets, would say, whenever he walked in the room, it was like, Sheets would say, "Here comes Night Train." He started calling Dick that, and it stuck. So, let's fast forward to, he made the team. And for $4,500 as a rookie. And for that, I bet you this is a record breaking also. $4,500. And that record that he has is still standing today, 14 passes. He picked off 14 passes in the 12-game season. Yeah, it's 16 games in the season now. But then he, like in Black people fashion, I swear it's something about us. We always gotta knock ourselves down some type of way. He said, I probably dropped 10 passes that same year that I caught 14. I kept getting hit in the head with the ball. But still, combined with speed, reflexes, and work ethic, and, they won a lot. They won 9 of the 12 games, but they lost, to Detroit at the Coliseum. So, Lane played with the Rams for 2 more seasons before he got traded. They traded him to Chicago, played there in 1954. Spent 6 years in Chicago, and then he spent 6 more years with the Detroit Lions. So he was a All-Pro in the 60s to 62. He made it to 7 Pro Bowls in his 14 seasons. Total overall, he picked off 68 passes for 5 touchdowns, 1,207 return yards. He retired in 1965. And guess what? He was inducted to our Canton Hall of Fame in 1974. That's still 4 years before I was even thought of. The lane still goes on today. So he will be remembered, and has been and is remembered as an all-time great. He got one of those fucking tough calls where he always played on the fucking losing team. Sorry, my language. But he helped revolutionize defense secondary play. He transformed. He's one of those guys who transformed the cornerback position. A physical cornerback who also makes plays on the ball. A frequent All-Pro that is positioned during his NFL career, said Aeneas Williams. He played from 91 to 2006. He will always be remembered as one of the great cornerbacks who played this game, Williams said. According, Williams C. wrote in the New York Times. His peers on both sides of the ball likely praised Dick Lane. Lane was an icon for the cornerback position. Former defensive back Lynn Barney said it in the Chicago Tribune. Barney replaced Lane at the left cornerback in 1965. You know, guys like Herb Adderley and Mel Blount and Mel Renfro and Willie Brown. They called him the godfather of all cornerbacks. He's the godfather of the cornerbacks. Train was a prototype. Known for his physical play, Dick frequently tackled players with a maneuver known as the night train necktie, a clothesline-style tackle often involving a blow to the head or the neck. Yeah, it's been prohibited since. Hey, Lane was Dick was 6'3", 185 pounds. Lane was often taller and faster than his opponents. He tackled players by wrapping his long arms around their necks and taking them to the ground like a rodeo calf, in old Texas Austin style. Cantu wrote, "I told him once, Night Train, you need to tackle a little lower for my health." Hall of Famer wide receiver Tommy McDonald told the Chicago Tribune. Dave Robertson, linebacker of the Green Bay championship team from 1963 to 72, said many players feared Lane in sight. One play when a defensive back hammered Robertson's teammate, fullback Jim Taylor, I remember a streak of blue. Robertson told Cantu, it was Night Train blowing by us, jumping over the guard, crushing our guy. Might have been the last thing Jim Taylor remembered. Lane, who originally objected to his nickname, finally took a liking to it, especially when he saw the headline to the 1954 after Chicago Cardinals dominated the Washington Redskins 38-16. He was particularly adept that day against Redskins running back Charlie Choo Choo Justice. A Chicago newspaper sorted headline, Night Train derails Choo Choo. He retired in 1964. His accomplishments included intercepting passes in 6 consecutive games. He wanted to coach in the NFL, but the Lions did little to help him. Owner William Clay Ford instead hired him as a special staff assistant, a position which he held from 66 to 72. The Detroit Lions are by extension the NFL. The Detroit Lions and by extension the NFL never did right by Lane, Roden said. Like so many greats, he was allowed to fade away. Players come and go, and few are kept around as treasures. The league too often treats the past like a worn pair of shoulder pads. Experienced personal tragedy. Lane married and divorced 3 times. His best-known marriage was his second one to singer Dinah Washington, often called the Queen of Blues. Basketball standout Wilt Chamberlain was best man at that wedding. The marriage, however, lasted less than 1 year. Broken marriages and struggles with alcohol and drugs hard burdened Washington for much of her life. And shortly before Christmas in 1963, Lane found her unconscious with empty pills and empty bottle of pills nearby. She died at age 39. Meanwhile, Dick remained active with football after his playing days. He coached at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio. Too many ties. Then, Mayor Coleman Young named him the first director of the Police Athletic League, which provided a sports outlet and adult guidance for underprivileged youngsters. Memories of his rough adolescence motivated Lane to make the program a success. He was also served briefly as road manager for entertainer Red Fox. Although that arrangement dissipated after a year. In his later years, Lane developed diabetes, high blood pressure. his pension from the NFL was only $200 a month at that time. At a time when modern athletes were make millions, the pension and Social Security had his rent in Austin. Paid his rent in Austin. Lane's highest annual salary was $25,000. But I have no regrets. Absolutely no regrets, he told Cantor. He had 2 sons, but saw them infrequently. Lane died of a heart attack in January 29, 2002 in Austin. He listened to jazz music that evening, got helped to bed by his personal health care worker. When he laid down to get gas with air, he was having difficulty breathing. 20 minutes later, he was gone. Players and non-players alike remember him for his toughness on and off the field and for his loyalty as a friend. Train had great size and speed. Hall of Famer, middle linebacker Joe Schmidt, teammate of Lane's in Detroit, told the Chicago Tribune, "Have never seen anyone with the type of closing speed on the receiver that he had. Train took pride in getting to the receiver and making the tackle." People paid respect to Lane at his funeral at Great Mount Zion Baptist Church in Austin. He was like a magnet. His niece, Dorsey Yancey, told the Austin Statesman, "You would fall in love with him the moment you met him. If you didn't, something was wrong with you." He had a little twinkle in his eyes.
If you know of one person that has ever gotten to a happy place that dealt with your circumstance, there is a blueprint. The end. Night Train Lane, legendary football player, was thrown in a dumpster the second he was born. Went on to be one of the great football players of all time, dated every actress in the game, was Red Fox's bodyguard, iconic gentleman. Dumpster. There's all sorts of circumstances.